Okay, I'm still in this book right here. I think I got just a few more pages left in it. Um, yeah, I got a few more. There's probably about 2 stories in here, maybe 3. But right now I'm at part 4, story 6, called by name. Oh, that's where the called by name thing comes. I'm thinking of the movie I was the first one. Hmm. Oh, okay. I'm just thinking about. I got some CDs of a TV show that I got to see the first and the second season. I'm waiting until the third season come out, and it hadn't come out yet at this moment. But let me get back to my story. Okay. Uh, part 4, story 6, called by name. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai this time, after spending another 40 days and 40 nights with God, his face shone with a strange and wonderful light. It was so bright that even his own brother Aaron was afraid to come near him. In other words, he was glowing. So were the rest of the people. Before he could talk with them, he had to cover his face with a veil. Maybe if you live, live close to God as long as Moses did, our faces would shine too. Things were difficult in the camp now. There was no golden calf this time. The people had learnt their lesson. They were now ready to build the sanctuary that God had told Moses about some weeks before. But first they were given a test to see how much they really cared for him. Moses asked them to bring God an offering of gold, silver, brass, jewels, spices, oil, fine linen, and skins of various kinds. He knew the people had all these things and that they had taken most of them from the Egyptians during their last night in bondage. He could have reminded them that they wouldn't have any of this wealth if God had not delivered them, and that it all readily belonged to him. But he didn't. Instead, he told them that God wanted only gifts from the people who are willing to give. If anybody didn't feel like giving, that was all right with him. They could keep their things. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, an offer of the Lord, he said. No one else. As the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses, the faithful older leader must have wondered what they would do. Up to now, God had given them everything they had. This was the first time they had ever been asked to give something to him. How would they take it? No doubt he watched their faces. Some looked pleased that they could do something to say thank you to God for all his goodness to them. Others looked glum, telling themselves that if they had parted with their wait. Others look grim, telling themselves that if they part with their valuables now, they would never get any more. Not in this desert. All went to their tents. Soon soon in little groups they were they began to come back to where Moses stood waiting for them. Not I don't know who got back to him first, but it could have been a little boy bringing some precious trinket that an Egyptian had gave him. Or it might have been a little girl with a silver bracelet she treasured very much. Boys and girls run so much faster than older people that they could have been first, couldn't they? And how children do love to give what they can to God. Yep. And if some of the children did not get there before the others, I'm sure Moses gave them a wonderful smile of thankfulness. There may have been tears in his eyes, too, at the thought that the children loved God best. Then came the rest. First of all, parts of the camp from all parts of the camp they streamed towards Moses, bringing whatever they felt they could spare. And they came, everyone whose heart stirred him up, and everyone who the Spirit made willing. And they brought the Lord's offering. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets and earrings and rings and tablets, all jewels of gold, and every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and red skins of rams and badger skins brought them. Every one that did offer the offering of silver and brass brought to the Lord's offering. Excuse me. And every man with whom was found, I hate to say this word, shittim wood. I hate to say that word. Bought it. And so on and so on. It seemed as though somehow, somewhere, the people found everything that was needed. That's what a willing spirit does. And then, of course, at the bottom has a little girl and a little boy giving to Moses. That's the illustration. Okay. And let's turn. Okay, here's what it says. It must have been a wonderful sight. Everybody bringing what he could. Everybody helping the best way they knew how. All the people looked so happy about it. Giving to God made them feel good all over. When all the gifts were in and piled up around Moses, he told them more of his plans for the building of the sanctuary. First, he announced the name of the man who would be in charge of the work. The Lord hath called by name Bezalel of Uri, Bezaleel, Bezal, I'm going to say it that way, the son of Uri, the son of and the tribe of Judah. If there was one surprised man in the camp at this moment, it was sure Bezalel. And he would have been ever more surprised had he known God had actually mentioned him by name. to Moses up on the top of Mount Sinai. He came forward blushing, a young craftsman. He must have used to, okay, he wasn't used to anything like this. Certainly he had never expected such an honor. What could God need from him, of him? Then he learned something. He discovered how much God knew about him. Pointing to him, Moses said, He, the Lord, hath filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom and understanding, and knowledge, and all the manner of workmanship, and to devise curious works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in cutting of stone, to setting them, and in carving of wood, to make any manner of cunning work. And he hath put in his heart that he may teach. What a youth! He could have been he couldn't been very old, for he was the grandson of Ur, who held up Moses' hands in the battle against Amalekite, a Amalekite, only a few weeks before. Yet he was filled with the Spirit of God. He was wise. He was a skilled workman in both metal and wood. He was a jeweler, a guy that builds jewels, makes necklaces and stuff, and a wood carver. And most important of all, he could teach others how to do all these things. Few people knew that there was anybody like this in the camp. Few people knew there was anybody like this in the camp. I cannot repeat. But God knew that he needed a good man for a big job. And he said, I want Bezalel. Bezalel. He called him by name, so would be no mistake. And it just shows how much God knows us all. He knows what we can do, what kind of training we have had, and what kind of spirit is in our hearts. And he knows our names. What do you suppose he knows about you? Will he ever call you to a big job for him? Yeah, I've been wondering too. Okay, and then we've got a picture of Moses pointing at Bezalel. I want to call him Bezalel. And Moses pointing at Bezalel. And then a boy and a girl in 1954 dress. Or 1950 dress. And that's true. Will he ever call you to do a big job for him? And that was the end of story 6 in part 4. And now we go to our next one. And let's give me a bit. And it looks like this one was long. I guess there's some longer ones.